Chapter 1. Gabe. I didn't want to be doing this, but it was the only place we would be safe. Or, at least, that's what I had hoped. Since Byron, who was also my uncle, had made a huge plan to set up the Silurians on Zynon, I doubted he would have time to come find us, at least not right away. He had made Zack appear to be one of the Silurian leaders, and then ordered the Silurians to open fire on all the people during the poker tournament. Many died, and we barely escaped with our lives. Luckily, Byron had lost sight of all of us, and we fled before it was too late. Now we were heading down to the Silurian Zone, where I was from. Well, not only from, but was the son of the queen. I supposed I was a prince. Not that anyone down there cared. I was half human, so in their eyes, I wasn't really a Silurian. It made it easier to run away and never look back. But there I was, looking back and waiting for the shuttle to take us down to the ocean floor. And then what? I didn't know what the next plan of action was. Byron had set up the Silurians for a war against the other nations. They made them appear to be traitors. It was only a matter of time before fighting would ensue, and the Silurians would be like the Causians, conspirators who no longer had a home to go to. Having learned the truth, now knowing that my uncle was responsible, I felt sick. I knew the sins of my ancestors had nothing to do with me, but I couldn't help but feel guilty. I had to do something. I had to make this right. Which was why I knew we needed to come here and convince the Silurians, convince my mother that Byron was the one behind it all, and that he had to be stopped. Problem was, no one except my mother liked me. They thought I was an abomination. It wasn't just in my head either, as they had said so many times growing up. That was why I ran away. I stared out at the ocean that made up the Silurian nation. The two suns were setting on the horizon, making the sky a beautiful orange and pink that was reflected in the water. A few seagulls cawed in the distance, and the sweet, salty scent of the sea permeated the air. It was a smell I missed. Below the deep waters was my home of Furutani. It was where my mother and all her relatives and friends and the citizens of the Silurian Zone resided. Well, most of them. Although Silurians left the oceans often, there were many more who did not, and few people of other races got to visit the city without some sort of reason, such as diplomatic meetings and the like, which made bringing 3 Causians with me problematic. "Everything all right?" Kor stepped up beside me. I turned to him and examined his familiar features. He had a perfectly chiseled jaw, hair as white as snow, and golden eyes that marked him as a Causian. He was wearing some cheap clothing we had bought on the transport as we made our escape from Byron, as was I. I was used to seeing him in flawlessly tailored suits. I sort of liked the change. I gave him my most convincing smile. "Yeah, everything is just peachy." He grabbed my hand and squeezed. "Know I'm here for you. I understand what it's like to run from one's past. I've got your back, okay?" I leaned in and kissed him. His lips tasted like the chicken wings he had devoured on the ship that had brought us down from the moon Zynon. "Thank you." We hadn't finished our talk about Ellie and where their relationship was in the mix. Too much had happened, and too much was still happening. But once this all slowed down, I would have the courage to ask him for the truth. Ask him if he wanted to be with me. And I feared the answer was no. We had been together for 2 years, so I thought our relationship was quite solid, but he never really told me he was once engaged, and that was what the wooden ring he always kept on his person was. The fact that he had hidden it from me for so long made me think he never lost his love for her, which meant if she loved him still, they would probably run off into the sunset together at the end of the day. And she did love him. I discovered that when the ring had fallen out of her purse. Before I could make myself any sadder, I turned back to the ocean.